Everyone wanted to know what I would say if I didn't win, and I guess we'll never know. Someone told me today my skin looked really nice. I took a look in the mirror and I was like, I don't think that person was lying, but maybe they just haven't seen that many people. Listen, if there's any foundation that wants to sponsor me because my skin looks so nice, let me know. I won't make a video for you, but I will tell people that I'm using your foundation even when I'm not. And until I start getting paid, ain't nobody gonna know what foundation I'm using. I work a job with inconsistent hours because I'm not well respected at my job for no reason. Today I was like, these are the people that are getting my hours. I got 16 hours this week, and I'm working 5 days a week for 16 hours. I'm closing 4 of those days. And those are like the worst. Like, why am I doing that? But like, then I see the people that have full-time hours. I'm like, there ain't no way. Oh my gosh, these people got bananas for brains. It's incredible. You guys all know the feeling when like people are getting away with shit that you'd never be able to get away with. So anyway, today's topic is jealousy and loneliness at the Denny's, or something like that. I'm still working on it. Jealousy is a great topic. I could talk about jealousy for like 3 hours, but no one would want to watch that except for me. And in that case, I just might talk about jealousy for 3 hours. My personal theory, and you're allowed to disagree with me, but you'll be wrong, is that my mom's always been jealous of me, because why wouldn't she be? But like, imagine being jealous of a child or a baby, and one that you birthed at that. And so the consequence is that I'm low-key always expecting people to be jealous of me, low-key. But for like the longest time, until like a couple years ago, I did not realize that's what I was looking for. I thought that's just how people were. And I'd be like, why do I not like the way this person's treating me? Because they treated me like my mom treats me. I started journaling maybe like 3 years ago-ish. After a year or two of journaling, I started to see a pattern of like, okay, I tend to get really down on myself because I'm noticing that people kind of treat me a lot of the same a lot of the time. And they tend to have the same sort of critiques of me, which aren't really critiques at all. Always making appearance-based comments, you know? I forget what. People make fun of my music taste a lot, even though, like, I know for a fact no one's music is hitting as hard as mine. I know for a fact. I have immaculate music taste, and you can't take that away from me. Like, and I was journaling, and I was like, why are people making fun of my music taste? I have a musical background. I play more instruments than the average person, and I went to a music school, and I took lessons, and this, that, and the third. Why are people making fun of my music taste? I have a deep appreciation for music and a greater understanding of it than most people. And like, I'm such a hipster with music. I listen to artists that have like 30 Spotify streams a month, and sometimes that's the best music you'll ever hear. So why would people make fun of my music taste? To my face. And in my DMs, people would make fun of me for all sorts of things. Appearance-based, the way that I dressed, music taste. For some reason, I get called a whore, or like implied that I'm promiscuous, even though, listen, I'm a queer, and I don't do that. I don't do none of that in my neighborhood. It doesn't make any sense. It's exactly the opposite of what people were saying about me, you know? And I noticed this pattern as I was journaling, and I was like, everyone's saying the same shit, and it's all the same sort of shallow, superficial criticisms that can't really count as criticisms, because what are you even talking about, right? It's not rooted in reality. And then so I was like, oh, for some people, I am triggering their insecurity for whatever reason, and they're retaliating for whatever reason. And when you trigger insecurity within a person and they retaliate, that is jealousy. I guess you would call it envy. They envy something that you have. But colloquially, we call that jealousy, because we don't differentiate. And then that really opened my eyes, because I was able to see it everywhere, microscopic levels. People are functionally jealous. I think that when people are fat phobic, for example, they go online, they make fun of people who weigh more, I guess. Don't have to know a thing about what their actual health status is. They'll just make fun of them. I see that all the time on the internet. When I do see it, most of the time, what I see is people being like, I am upset that this person feels entitled to live freely when I can't even feel entitled to live freely, and I'm conforming as hard as I can. They're just so fucking mad that someone just exists. And they can't just exist because they have to check off X, Y, and Z box before they feel comfortable existing. And I would classify that as a type of jealousy because functionally that's what it is. You're just upset that you don't have what they have, but you're not conscious of it. And so I see that everywhere. And I experience that a lot too. And it's like weird every time because once again, I'm someone who was raised by a jealous parent, in my opinion. And so I wasn't raised to think of it that way. I was raised to think of it as valid criticism. And so for a very long time I did, and that caused a lot of anguish. But then once I saw it for what it was, that caused kind of a lot of anguish too, because I was like, oh, these people don't like me, but it's for a very different reason than what I thought. This ice cream is bussin'. Now, hear me out, guys. I am not one of these people that does not have female friends because she does not want female friends because she prefers male friends. Not me. I prefer female friends. Women are just better. I don't know how else to put it. They're just more in touch with reality. But I would be lying if I said that with most women, I have immense difficulty with. And that could be in part because my mom is a woman who is very difficult, you know? Like, I will never have a white woman friend. Like, it just can't happen. And that might be white women's fault, but that also might be my fault. It's hard to really tell because I have so much trauma around that growing up. It's very apparent to me, especially because I'm so sensitive to these things, having grown up with a parent who was just so on my ass about everything. My appearance, like had body dysmorphia for me, you know, like a parent that looked at me and was like, "There's something wrong with the way that you look." Because she wasn't seeing reality either. I'm very sensitive to how people treat me because I'm always looking for shit like that. And I see it in women a lot, like similar behaviors. A lot of the time, the people that had judgment towards me, and a lot of it was men. I'm not even gonna lie. But like, women can judge you in a particular way that hurts in a particular way because they are aware in a particular way that the other gender just isn't. Women can point out your fashion choices and your makeup and the way that you look and all these things, and you'll take it to heart because they know what they're talking about. I'm very, very aware of that dynamic, of the possibility of that dynamic unfolding. And it's weird. It's weird. And it was really weird when I became conscious of it, of like, oh, I better watch out because there's a possibility that people are jealous of me and I'm just not going to see it immediately because I was trained by my mom to just be blind as a bat to the truth of jealousy. But when I started to see it, I was like, damn, holy shit, it's everywhere. And it still blows my mind. I'm like, they can't possibly be treating me this way because I am not after anyone's man, and I'm not after a man. I'm not interested in a man. I'm not interested in nothing. So it's just very weird that I'm still being treated like I'm competition for this bullshit ass game that I recognize as bullshit, that I don't care about. I'm not saying that men are without their faults, because I will fucking get to that. But like, take for example, I've had this happen so often at work where I will be talking to a male coworker. They'll be telling me a story. They will be talking to me, and then repeatedly a woman will interrupt that conversation. Repeatedly. And that's just really interesting because men are supposed to be the ones interrupting. That is what I've come to know, but they don't. When I'm talking to a man does not interrupt that conversation. There's always a fucking woman somewhere to interrupt my conversation. I'm not even on some heterosexual bullshit. I'm like, I really want to hear this person's story because they are telling me an interesting story that will give me insight and clarity into how their day is going today. You know, it's like a team building exercise. But fucking hell, they cannot get, like, this has been going on for years, man. They cannot get through a story without getting interrupted by a woman. I take note of what's happening at any given moment. And I take note, I'm like, she hasn't said anything to anybody. This is the first time that she's spoken to anybody. And it's to interrupt this conversation very, like, obviously too. Like, it won't even be like trying to contribute to the conversation. It's like, oh, I'm going to start a new conversation right when you're in the middle of a word while you're speaking to this other person. And I noticed that the type of people that do that, because it's not every woman, it's not. It's like a minority of women that will do this. But I've noticed that the ones that do, like, I've already clocked as being very insecure. Like the type of people that will make fun of me for being thin. And that's some bullshit because who cares? You know, I'm not really thin by choice. I had to go on a diet because of my metabolism. Like, I don't believe anyone is really consciously choosing their body weight. You can, but that's not the majority. And so it's weird when people break the code where they're going to comment on your body weight, comment on, you know, when I'm not going to do that to you. You know, skinny shaming is not the same as fat shaming because it's not institutionally reinforced. But it is very weird. It's a weird behavior. And I've noticed that, like, the types of people that will interrupt me in the middle of the conversation are these same types that will be saying off-colored shit to me. I would love to be like, no, that's not happening, because it's just weird. I hate to sit up here and say that I would attract negative attention because I ignite an insecurity in someone. That, by the way, I'm not upholding, I'm not reinforcing. I don't think anything negative of anybody for any number of reasons, you know, unless they really fucked me over somehow. And even then, I'm pretty forgiving. I said I was gonna give men their lashings. Let me think. They can also be jealous ass bitches, man. 1000%. Their jealousy is exhibited in a different sort of manner because the goal is different, you know. With women, I acknowledge that the jealousy and the competition is over male attention, which I do not care about. I would not give a shit if not a single man spoke to me ever again. Not a single man at work told me another story. Might be a little sad because I have a bond with some of my coworkers, but I'd move on. It's not anything that I get a high off of, you know. I do not need that male attention. You can have it for yourself if you really want. Don't fight me for it, though. Like, oh my gosh, we don't gotta fight. Men have a certain type of jealousy, and that's also exhausting. They get insecure if you do anything better than them. If you do anything more than them. I wrote in my journal recently. It's a good-ass journal. But I wrote recently just sort of realizing a theory, a possibility for why my ex dumped me 3 years ago. I'm still kind of stuck there, not because I did not want that to happen, because that was the best thing that could have happened to me, but because it was so rude and it was so hurtful. And I was like, why would someone do that to me? Like, I really take it personally that, like, I would be a victim of such cruelty. The only thing that is, like, really making sense and is clicking to me is that he was functionally jealous of me. And what I mean by that was that things that I was doing was making him egregiously insecure. Like living in Hollywood, like going to concerts, like going to televised tapings, which is like just what you do when you're in Hollywood. You go to television show tapings. But I really believe that this made him so insecure. Or like getting clothes. I really think that it ignited an insecurity because, like, the cited reason for the breakup was that I would not move to his hometown in bumfuck America, and also that I was not going to have any babies. And mind you, this was a 5-year-long relationship, and this was already well known for 5 years. Like, I wanted to move to Hollywood and not have any kids because I'm a career woman in Hollywood, and I've always known since I was 10 years old that was just the way that it was going to go for me. But, you know, one day he just decided, no. 5 years into this thing, he decided, not going to happen. So, and that really irritated me because I cannot believe that that's the reason. It's not that simple. And what I've come to realize is that, like, he was basically calling me out for being a badass bitch. There's no other way to slice it. Because I had only been in Hollywood for 6 months before he called it quits. And we're talking about a 5-year relationship. And I really believe that, like, that was the catalyst, was me doing so many things. Because that was the only thing that had changed. Basically, my career was showing signs of picking up. And that honestly irritates me so much more than anything that a woman could ever do. A man will literally sit there, resent you, be enraged, you know, over some shit that he cannot admit. And he will blame you for it constantly. When in reality, it's what's really happening is he's feeling, I'm not enough. I can't keep up. I see women all the time admitting what they're insecure about. They live in their insecurity so often, and the men just can't admit it. They blame. I think both genders have gotten their lashings. I say all that to say that, like, that's some of the primary things that I've been struggling with interpersonally, is just realizing that people are kind of haters, and they don't really mean to be. And it's not everybody. But But it is enough people to where it causes me to feel a lot of sorrow. And it might not even be most people. It might be like half of people. It might even be less than half of people. But it also might be most people. There's a lot of data to take in at any given moment. I would say maybe it's like 3/4 of people that exist on the spectrum of jealousy and resentment and insecurity and just like live in this place of self-hatred because our culture really, really rewards hating yourself. Like our culture insists that hating yourself is the way that you get ahead because if you hate yourself, then you can try to fix yourself in X, Y, and Z ways. That's supposed to be good for the economy. So I do feel like most people exist on this jealousy spectrum, but it's not all people. It's not all people. I should one of these days tell the story of film school. I'm not mad that I went because it was everything that I needed it to be. But it was also the worst time of my life, low-key. Like, after film school, I did not want to associate with most of the people that I met there because they were clout chasers. They were clout demons. I did not get the sense that they really cared for the art form. I got the sense that they wanted people to see what they were doing all the time. There's a difference between I want other people to gain something from what I'm doing and I want to gain something from what I'm doing. So, like, after I sort of became cognizant to social differences between me and a lot of my peers, I was like, ooh, let me rebrand, let me redo this. And so, okay, so it's been like 3 years I've had no friends. Doesn't mean I'm not friendly with certain people. Doesn't mean I hate everybody. But what I mean by that is that I'm not in contact with people. There's no one that I don't pick up my phone and see notifications. No matter how long I leave my phone alone, I'm not gonna pick it up and see notifications. I'm not messaging people throughout the day. I'm not talking to anyone about what I'm going through besides a therapist. It kind of hurts it does hurt my feelings because I'm like, why would that be the thing that's happening? But I also recognize that I am the happiest I've ever been in my life, which ain't saying much. But it is kind of saying a lot. And so I've kind of recognized that what is hurting my feelings really about having no friends is the negative definition. Just defining it negatively is what hurts my feelings because our culture will be like, there's something wrong with you. But there's low-key something wrong with you if you're relying on other people for your happiness. High-key. Why did I say low-key? Let's keep it a buck. And so I don't really see myself going back. I think what I've worked out for myself is quite functional. I don't rely on other people, and it's kind of amazing. It's kind of beautiful. I do not rely on other people. I'm so independent. I do not need to call somebody if it's 1 a.m. and I want to go to the corner store for an ice cream cone. I'm gonna go by myself, and I do not care. I've lived out here for 4 years, and I am untouchable. And that might sound arrogant, and the universe might get my ass for being so arrogant. But that's just a risk I'm willing to take. People do so much more dangerous things than being alone, you know? Being alone is kind of the safest thing that you can be. When you think about the stuff that actually gets people into danger, driving a car, going to bars and clubs and raves. And that's not to victim shame, that's just to say there are so many things that people do that are dangerous and they choose to do it anyway and they don't really acknowledge the danger in it, the inherent danger in it. And so every day I just feel so grateful because I see past the fear-mongering that our culture does about being alone all the time. And I can see it's actually quite safe for me to be alone and walk to the corner store and get me an ice cream cone. And it's very liberating that I do not feel any fear about being alone. So many people can't do anything without someone going with. Some people can't even go to the grocery store without people going with them, you know? Some people can't go and get a Swiffer without someone going with them. I remember in college, and no shade to these people, but this was really strange to me. In college, people would not go to the cafeteria without having someone to go with because they felt weird eating alone. But genuinely, most of the time, probably 99% of the time, I went to the cafeteria alone. I didn't always eat alone because when I got to the cafeteria, I'd see people that I liked and I would sit with them. But there were a lot of days where I did eat alone, and that was perfectly fine with me. And sometimes I preferred it. And I never once was like, oh, I can't eat yet because I'm eating with a friend. I was always very independent, and it was very liberating. It was not something that I ever had to plan out. And it's amazing that people had people that they could do that with, but like, it's equally amazing that I did not need to do that at such a young age. I was able to be fearless about doing things on my own. and making decisions for myself and all these sorts of things. And low-key took me 30 minutes to eat that ice cream cone. I am getting married at the Denny's in Vegas. There's a particular Denny's that every time I go to, some weird spiritual stuff be happening. The first time I went to that Denny's in 3 years, I ordered my meal, I finished it, I paid for it, and I was still sitting at the table, and I saw my coworker out the window. And what's really weird about it is that this coworker was psychic. We demonstrated that we had telepathy. We could think the same things at the same time. And so that was really weird. But I saw this coworker out the window after I finished my meal. And I was like, that's a strange occurrence because I haven't been to this Denny's, this particular location in so long. And what are the odds, like, at this time of day? And what are the odds I just see this person in Los Angeles, this big ass city? And then another time I went, I had the birthday meal coupon. I didn't tell anybody that I had the coupon or nothing. The waiter gave me the meal for free. Lots of weird things happen at the Denny's. There's another time I took a couple of my younger coworkers to that Denny's, and I was able to read their minds, and I was able to see what was going on in their minds very, very easily, and I was able to read it in real time, and I was like, okay, I see. Or I had them thinking of numbers, and I was able to see what numbers they were thinking in real time, and I was like, it's going up and then it's going down. I did that with colors, and I also guessed their pets too. I guessed a dead pet of one of them. And this week at the Spiritual Denny's, I ordered whatever meal I was gonna order, and right after I finish ordering it, the waiter goes away and a song comes on over the speaker, and it's Sarah by Fleetwood Mac. And for the uninitiated, I was named after that song. My mom will never admit it, but I know the truth. I was named after that song. The weirder part is that I was journaling about that song maybe a day or 2 days before I was eating there. So I had written like a couple of journal entries about how I was named after the song, and then I go to this Denny's and that song was playing directly after I ordered my pancakes. It was unbelievable. And that is the saga of the Spiritual Denny's every time I go there. I guess the point is that everyone in the world can hate you. Everyone in the world can interrupt your conversations with your male coworkers. But what really matters, okay, is that the Spiritual Denny's is a hot place. The Spiritual Denny's is a happening place, and you are never really alone. You are never really alone. I was recently proposed to with a cricket. My coworker handed me a cricket, and I do not really like crickets, but he handed me a cricket, and the rest is history. Now we're getting married at the Denny's, and we're going to have a pancake wedding cake, and the performer, we're going to have Chris Angel. We have not secured a wedding band yet. We had Smash Mouth in the talks, but unfortunately, R.I.P. Smash Mouth. So I'm willing to take suggestions. So far, we just have Chris Angel. We might have Carrot Top. Tony Hawk is invited.